Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com. I want to do a follow-up video to the video I put up last week about being 18 years and about the big changes we're making to the MiniWarGaming Vault. There was a ton of response to it. Lots of views, lots of comments and questions. And so I decided I want to do a follow-up video to go over your top comments, your top suggestions, your top questions as well, because I was answering the same ones over and over again, and I figured that probably means I need to make a video to explain it. Especially because this coming Tuesday, June 10th, is when we are launching the new Vault. I say new Vault, it's a return to a lot of things that we used to do. So it's a new old Vault, and we're compiling everything into one membership. And with that membership, both which you can get on YouTube or in the MiniWarGaming Vault, so you can get them in either place, will give you access to early access battle reports, exclusive narrative campaigns behind the scenes, and then over time we're going to be adding in more stuff as well. And so that all launches this coming Tuesday, and we're celebrating the launch with a 24-hour live stream. Right now it's scheduled to go out at noon Eastern. That might change to 1 or 2 o'clock because we're looking at the schedule and what we're going to be doing, but it'll be happening on Tuesday. As well as that week we're going to be launching a new Deathwatch campaign, a 500K subscriber video with showing off our entire 40K collection, more 40K battle reports, and also in the Vault, the very first battle report in the new Vault will be a banter bat rep of me versus Dave. So all that will be starting on Tuesday and going throughout the week. So please join us for the live stream. We'll put a link below to that, and I'll have links below to all the other pertinent things that I talk about here as well. And while the Vault itself is not ready to sign up for yet, the YouTube membership has already launched. So even though the benefits don't start till Tuesday, if you want to jump in early to show your support and to help us to gather information as to how many people are really interested in that, click the join button below and you can sign up. Make sure you choose the Vault member level to get all of the benefits, or higher if you want to throw in some extra support. So let's go through your questions and comments. So this is kind of ordered in the order of what I could tell were the most commented thing. So the first one, of course, was by an overwhelming margin, was talking about how they agreed and want more narrative campaigns. And that is why we are going to be making it a focus again. Narrative campaigns have been such a foundation of the MiniWarGaming Vault. And when I poured into the statistics over the past few years, I really saw that's what Vault members were really watching. So even though we were posting way more battle reports in there, it was by an overwhelming majority that narrative campaigns were being watched. In fact, the number of watch time in total on narrative campaigns was double that of battle reports. And I don't mean like total, I mean per video. And so if a battle report was watched for 500 hours in total, it was 1,000 hours for narrative campaigns instead. So it was interesting because on YouTube, you kind of see that's not always the case, but that's also because a lot of it's locked behind the Vault. So it's not an easy thing to compare. So it was nice and refreshing to see that that is really what people were coming to us for. I'm not saying it's the most viewed content on the internet, but it's definitely what people come to MiniWarGaming for. And I understand why. One of the top questions, of course, were people that are unclear as to what the new Vault includes. And so let me break it down in really, really simple terms. The first thing it includes is early access battle reports. And so you'll get access to battle reports 4 weeks before everybody else. So you'll be the first to be able to view them and comment on them. Like I said, this is both the YouTube membership and in the MiniWarGaming Vault. This allows us to be able to get ahead on these. And the nice thing is, because we're going back to older editions of Warhammer 40K, at least at first, that's what our focus is going to be, as well as other games as well. But the first main focus will be older editions of Warhammer 40K. Currently we're in 4th and we'll work our way around that and doing different fun things. It's nice because since there's not really any updates to those editions, we can bank it and get a lot of content done and make sure that we have what you guys need. What we're hoping to be able to do is actually have a schedule on our website that tells you what's coming up, like right down to not just the show that goes out that day, but like what the episode is going to be. So we'll see how well we do with that, because sometimes we don't know more than 3 or 4 weeks out exactly what it is that we are doing. And the other thing that's probably the bigger draw is, of course, the narrative campaigns. Right off the bat, next week we are launching the next Deathwatch narrative campaign. It is based in Warhammer 40K 7th edition, which I found to be perfect for Deathwatch. If you're not familiar with what Deathwatch is, it is a smaller scale narrative campaign that almost runs a bit like a role-playing game. Usually I take multiple people. In this case, I had Steve, Josh, and Luca each build a kill team of 5 Deathwatch Space Marines. And some of the missions, they were all together, but often they were then split up to do basically special operatives or spec ops missions and go off and build up the story and figure out where things go. And so this first one is an 8-episode season that starts a new story on the planet of Perdition. And I won't give any more away, but it was a riot. It was so much fun to film with all of them. The reason I think 7th edition works really well for that is I've tried doing Deathwatch in 8th, 9th, and 10th, and it doesn't quite fit because they streamline the game a lot more as you get to the later editions, which might be really good for competitive play, but for narrative play, it takes away a lot of the elements that makes it feel like you're really doing something on the table. Anything from blast markers and templates to armor facings, but really even down to having an initiative system where people strike at different initiatives, having the weapon skill system where what you roll to hit in close combat depends on the skill of both you and your opponent's models, which really makes it feel like there's this back and forth to combat rather than, oh, I charge in, I hit you, and then you hit me back. It's like, no, this is more of a give and take. There's all sorts of other little things too, but I just found that writing for the Deathwatch narrative campaign in 7th edition was so frickin' refreshing. It was awesome. Our goal is then to eventually, very shortly, have 2 narrative campaigns going at all times. So the Deathwatch narrative campaign starts next week on Friday, and then about, I think, 3 weeks later, so as that one's going out into the vault, the first episode will be for free, and then all the other episodes will be in the MiniWarGaming Vault and on the YouTube memberships. But about 3 weeks after that, we'll launch our next narrative campaign, which is Gorkamorka, which we've already started to film, and it's been so freaking fun. Just, I can't tell you. I'm filming it. I'm game mastering it. I'm not even playing as one of the main players. And I filmed the first game with all 3 of them. It's in this case, we got Scary, Josh, and Luca, each leading an orc warband or an orc mob. And I had so much fun just filming and watching them play. It was so refreshing just to go into that kind of thing. And we're playing like the community edition. So this is going back to like 2nd edition Warhammer 40K. And it's just this, it's nonsense and it's a lot of fun. So that'll start about 3 weeks afterwards. And then the idea is that if you're a Vault member, every week there are 2 narrative campaigns that you are watching. So 2 shows that are running side by side. And as one completes, another one will start, usually with a 1-week gap between them to give us time to have some breathing space to either take a break or to have the next one ready to go. So then they'll overlap like this. And so here's the Deathwatch one, and here's the Gorkamorka one, and then we'll have the next one, so on and so forth. It won't always be perfect like that because not every campaign will have exactly the same number of episodes, and sometimes there will be the overlap will be different. But the idea is that at all times for Vault members, there are 2 narrative campaigns going on. And if you're not a Vault member or YouTube member, then you get to watch the first episode for free, but the rest of them will be in the Vault. And then the other big thing will be a weekly open Vault, which is our behind the scenes. We're going to be putting a lot of effort into this to film almost on a daily basis what is going on day to day in MiniWarGaming. And that way every week you get a digest of all the stuff that's going on, what we're filming, what the tables we're setting up, what's going on in the MiniWarGaming Forge, and maybe some other special content as well. So that's where it starts. We're going to be adding in other things later on. I don't want to go over them too much right now because I don't want to overpromise, because we got to see how everything goes next week. We do need a lot of people to sign up in order for this to work. The reason we're doing this big push is because we have struggled for the past few years to grow the Vault, partly because we're all over the place trying to figure out what it is that we want to do. And now we're closing a lot of these projects down and focusing on just a few of them, and that being the Forge, the MiniWarGaming Vault, and of course Ravaged Star. Want to make sure we don't let that fall by the wayside. It's really important to us. But there's been a lot of other projects too, and we really just need to dial back on those and focus on what we do best. But it's taken a lot of experimentation to kind of get there. But the question is, will it be viable? And the answer is really up to you guys. If next week we see several hundred people sign up, we know it's viable. If only a handful of people sign up, then not really. But the fun thing is, at the time of me recording this, which is Monday, even though you're going to see this many days later, the video I put up last week has already seen almost 100 people sign up to the Vault. And that's before anything is being offered. So that to me is an indication that there is a lot of desire with this as well. Anyways, I'm taking a long time to get through these, so let's just keep going. Another suggestion is people want more rules breakdown videos. Viewers want more in-depth discussion and analysis. That reminds me, I forgot something already. Another benefit of being a Vault member, and that is post-game shows. And so what is a post-game show? It is where after a game is over, we spend anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes analyzing the game, and just talking about whatever it is that comes to mind. It almost works out to be like a podcast. In fact, it would probably be a good idea for us to format it that way. But they are only for Vault members and YouTube members. These won't, even though the battle report itself is early access and will go out for free, the post game will always remain behind a paywall. And that's to get that extra content. And these are usually pretty content rich. Between the two players that have played the game, and they'll just discuss whatever it is they feel like discussing, but it's often going to be the game itself that they just played, looking at the list they played. Obviously, we're not playing super competitively, so it's not a competitive analysis. It's going to be more of like things that they enjoy, things they want to try, what their feelings are on the edition that they're playing, stuff they're looking forward to, and then just general discussions as well. It gets into all sorts of stuff. So it's a real behind the scenes, interactive and a discussion with the different members of the MiniWarGaming crew and the guests who come in and film with us. So that is also on the docket for what you get as a Vault member. So you're looking at quite a few videos every single week. Another comment was that a lot of people are interested in watching older editions of Warhammer 40K. So that does seem to be what we're trying out. And we did experiment with this and we saw that people really liking it. So it seems that narrative content and older editions of Warhammer 40K are really resonating with people. And it's not that we're only going to do older editions of Warhammer 40K forever, because some people are like, well, the nostalgia is going to wear off. And I'm like, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it's not just about nostalgia. Maybe it really is that those older editions are just better when it comes to wanting a more casual and narrative experience. Because I'm finding that 10th edition just isn't doing it for me. That it's too streamlined. That even though the core rules are fine, I'm finding that the codexes are just kind of all just boring. As when I went back and played 4th edition with the 3rd edition Tyranid codex, even though there is like 1/5 of the number of units available, I felt that there was just so much more going on with the special rules and being able to customize my high fleets and build my own units. It was just so much more interesting. It doesn't mean everything is perfectly balanced, hardly. That was something about the older editions too. Even the newer edition has that problem too, but the older editions for sure, you had to have a lot more discussions with your opponent to make sure that you're going to have a good experience. But we're willing to do that, and it's so much fun going there. So it seems that a lot of you agree with that. Also, there was a lot of questions asking about really what the future plans are for MiniWarGaming, what is included in everything, what's going to be cut, what's going to continue. And I don't have a perfect list of what we're keeping, what we're not. Like I said, we're definitely, with the Ruins of Perdition Kickstarter that is still currently going. So if you go to miniwargaming.com/perdition, you can get an awesome set of terrain that collapses down and stores super well at home. It's magnetizable. You can use it for competitive as well as narrative games. It's designed to be completely compatible with tournament. That's right, I'm doing a little plug here. Tournaments, as well as being perfectly capable to make awesome looking tables, both intact buildings and ruins. All that is going on in the Kickstarter right now. But that is all being done in-house in the MiniWarGaming Forge. So we're selling the STLs, which allows you to print it yourself if you have a printer. But if you're like the vast majority of our viewers and don't have a 3D printer, we've come up with an affordable full table and beyond that allows you. And even the shipping is gotten a lot lower too, because we've managed to pack it smaller. And so even overseas to the UK and Europe, we're able to do decent shipping costs, and those might even be coming down even further. We're working on that. So you can check that out. But what that's done, the success of it so far has secured the future of the Forge, that we have more than enough. In fact, right now at the filming of this, they're setting up 8 more printers for the FDM printing, which brings us up to like 36 printers, I think, plus the other 30 resin printers that we have. And so they are very busy over there now printing orders from both the Forge, forge.miniwargaming.com, and also to get ready for the Ruins of Perdition Kickstarter. Once it's done, we'll already be ready to start shipping out a bunch of stuff and hoping to be able to ship out everything within 2 to 3 months after the Kickstarter closes. So the future of the Forge is secure, at least for the next few months. And I'm going to be having discussion with the people who design the terrain on what the next set is going to be, which maybe we'll launch a Kickstarter for in, say, like October-ish. The idea is that we'll do 3 or 4 Kickstarters a year for new terrain sets that will 3D print and also allow you to 3D print at home if you have your own printer. So that part's going great. The future of the Vault really depends on you guys. Are we going to continue expanding? Now, one thing I'm going to say is no matter how well it does next week, let's say it just did tremendously well, we are not going to get ahead of ourselves. That is a mistake I've made in the past. As we've run this business for 18 years, there's been plenty of times where as soon as we get a little bit of success, we then overexpand. We hire a bunch of people, or we expand our assets, or just spend a lot of money. And this time, it's like, no, we got to be careful, because over the past, I'd say 6 years, like ever since COVID, kind of, maybe 5 years, I don't know. It was a little pre-COVID, but then COVID gave us a boost. And then once COVID was over, quote unquote, or whatever you want to believe, it dropped back down. And so once people were able to go back outside and those restrictions were lifted, at least in North America, we definitely saw a decrease in the number of people watching our videos, as did pretty much anybody on YouTube. And so we've kind of struggled ever since then for about a 5-year time to figure out. And that's because we've been trying a lot of different things. There's also been a lot of new people in the industry. And so even if we do really well, which I really hope happens, then we're going to go slowly. We're going to slowly expand the amount of content that we create and the type of content and the quality of content. We're going to be very careful. I'd rather just slowly improve over the next few years than just be like, yeah, it's working, hire 10 more people. And then 6 months later, when it dips slightly, we don't have that nice cushion, which we definitely need. So we've, like I said, we've had 5 years of difficulty. So I'd like to switch that around and spend the next few years slowly expanding in that, so that we do it all very responsibly. I'm in my 40s now. I'm not nearly as much of a rush to grow the business. I want to do it right. I want to do it right by you guys. I want to do it right by my employees, make sure they're taken care of, and secure the future of MiniWargaming. Ravaged Star, of course, is the other big thing. So those are the three things: Forge, the Vault, and Ravaged Star. Ravaged Star is a huge commitment of ours. It's ended up being a much bigger project than we had assumed, because we were new at that. It's a good example of maybe biting off a little more than we can chew, but we are in it, and we are dedicated to making sure that it gets done, whatever it'll take. And so we're always looking for more support in that area. If you want to hop over there and help by pre-ordering, I'll put a link below as well to the game found for that. Or if you want to buy the Steel Spectres, which we're 3D printing in-house, it's another faction that works both with one-page rules and also with Ravaged Star. I'll put links to that as well in the description. So any of those really help to support us. So those are the three big pillars. We're going to be doing other little projects here and there. And Dave's got videos on his own channel that he really enjoys making. I might be doing some other 3D printing videos, but really carefully in all of these areas to make sure that the core of the Vault, we're producing a lot of good content for it, and making sure that we're growing everything in a responsible way to take care of everything here. And then we'll see in the future what that leads us to. It's hard to say, but we're going to be careful and cautious as we go forward. So obviously people have suggested a lot of different types of content they want to see, or types of games they want covered. Anything from more battle reports to miniature painting and modeling content, and terrain showcases and tutorials, and other types of games as well. One thing I can say is, thankfully, we've got a few companies sponsoring us to make battle reports for them, such as One Page Rules. We've been covering their Age of Fantasy and Grimdark Future. We've got Corvus Belli, and we've been filming or playing and posting Infinity and their new fantasy game, Warcrow. We've had Titan Forge with Bloodfield. We've had Modiphius, and we've done Fallout Factions and 5 Parsecs from Home. And we have even more. We have even more in the pipeline as well. So the thing about covering these other games, it's this catch-22. You guys want us to cover non-GW games, but there's not as many people watching those. And if we put up a video that gets less views, that makes us less money, and it costs a lot of money to make these videos. So if we're sponsored to make them, no problem, that covers the cost and makes us a bit of money. Or if it gets a lot of views, then that'll also hopefully then convert into not only ad revenue, but also people signing up to the Vault or YouTube memberships. So those are the two options. Maybe every once in a while we can just play a game because we want to. That might not get a lot of views, but we don't really have that luxury. It's a tight profit margin, and we got to make sure that each piece of content that we create has a purpose and has a return on that investment. I know that hearing it talked about a business is not it might be a turnoff to some of you. It's like, just do what you're passionate about and the money will follow. I don't believe that. I believe logically choosing what is right for the business and then being passionate about that, rather than just saying, just because you're passionate, that it is going to be successful. And I don't think that. I think you need to logically approach it and then throw your passion into what you think is going to be best for your family, for your business, for the games, whatever it is that you're doing. So we're trying to be careful about that. But thankfully, that does mean, because these companies are still sponsoring us, that we'll continue to cover these other games. They won't go into the vault though, because they're being sponsored. Obviously, they need to go out for free, because that's the deal. And so it's not additional content for Vault members, but it does mean that people who are watching on YouTube do get to see those games. So if you have other games that you really want us to cover, then we need those companies most likely to sponsor us to do so. So if you know somebody who knows somebody, hook them up with us and we'll see what happens. But we've been very happy though that there are a few companies that have been doing that. And like I said, we've got more down the pipeline. So also there's been a lot of talk about maybe involving the community more often, such as having polls or shout outs or fan content or that kind of stuff. So this is going to be an interesting thing. So one thing I really want to massage more and work on more is the MiniWarGaming Discord server. That's one of the places that we can kind of build the community. So already it's a free Discord server to join. So once again, links below. But if you are a Vault member or a paid YouTube member, that also unlocks a special area of the Discord that only you get access to. And I personally am more active in those areas because obviously I want to be able to foster that community with everybody. But we also want to eventually start things like contests and community posts and all that kind of stuff. But I got to be careful because once again, I got to focus on the broad strokes of everything that we need to do, which means focusing on the most important kind of content first. But I do want to include things like, for example, I do want there to be a way like a green light kind of thing. I think it's what it's called. Some other subscription services in other industries do, where the people who pay get to vote on the type of content that we're going to be making. So I already want to do that, but I got to be careful how we approach that, because at least at first we need to make sure that whatever content we're creating is something that we're excited to do and not just voted on by the community. But that doesn't stop us from being like, well, here's a few things we're excited to do, and there's always more ideas than time, so we can let the community decide which of those things we would approach, what kinds of narrative campaigns or games or editions or factions or whatever it is that we happen to do, or even types of content as well. Things like painting tutorials and hobby content that did used to be part of the MiniWarGaming Vault. We used to have the quick tips, and we had thousands of them in the end, and they did pretty well, but over time they just started to not have as much of an impact, as it became very easy to find pretty much any painting tutorial you wanted to online. So making a library of painting tutorials didn't really have the same impact like it used to, where you couldn't get that information or education anywhere else. Maybe one day we'll bring that back, but there's no plans right away. But that could be a future expansion if the Vault were to grow enough and to have enough members that we could justify spending money on hiring one or two painters whose job it was to make painting tutorials. Who knows? But that is not the plan right now. So we do definitely want to include the community more in polls and community content. At the very least, we're going to be continuing to work in Discord, so you can jump in there and have all sorts of conversations with other Vault members and YouTube members and with us as well. And yeah, there's even one in there I call it Ask Matthew. So you can drop a question in there and I'll get back to it usually within a day or two. I do my best to reply to questions in there. So the other thing that was talked about a little bit was talking about the Vault pricing. And so over the years, it's been interesting to figure out what it is that we should charge for a MiniWarGaming Vault membership or the YouTube membership. When we first started, we charged $20 a month Canadian, which right now that's about $14 or $15 American. And back then there wasn't really anybody else doing subscription services, so there wasn't much to compare to. So I was like, I don't know, $20 a month, I guess. That also included a discount to our store. And so if you were somebody who bought regularly from our store, where we sold like all the Warhammer products and Games Workshop products, then you could easily make that back. And then when we had our overseas people who were like, well, I'd like to get a membership too, but I'm not going to buy from your store because shipping obviously makes it not really worthwhile. We introduced the silver membership, which we made $10 a month. And then we were introduced to bronze later on. And then over the years, we've of course had to increase prices and work prices around because of inflation, because obviously the price we charged 17 years ago can't be the same price we charge today. Just inflation would be the simplest version. But we've decided that it's time to make things a little simpler and to charge what I think is a reasonable price for the amount of content that we're putting out and also for just what the market can bear at this time. So rather than having both a bronze and a silver, we're just going to have a Vault membership. And that Vault membership in US dollars is going to be $8 a month or $80 a year. I think that's nice and in between. It's not so cheap that we need way more members to make it viable, and it's not too expensive to drive people away. Now you might disagree, you might be like, I can't afford another $8 a month, and I understand that. There are a lot of subscriptions out there, and we're not even talking about the big ones like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus and all of that. It could just be your favorite content producers and their Patreons. It could just be tons of things. There are so many things to have subscriptions for, which is why we really wanted to turn the MiniWarGaming Vault back into something that was unique and content that you really can't find anywhere else, that you're not going to find all these narrative campaigns by pretty much anybody else, at least not at this time. And of course, you're not going to find us anywhere else. And so I don't know if that is a selling point to you or not, but hopefully it is. But we are going to keep to that price, and it's going to be the same price. Now, if you are a current member, there are a few questions there as well. So if you are a member who is paying less than $8 a month or $80 a year, you will be grandfathered in. So you will remain at that price right now. In fact, go to the MiniWarGaming site and go to the Vault and join the bronze yearly. You'll be able to get it cheaper for the next few days. And we will grandfather you in as a loyalty thing. I even had one person who says, I've been a member for like 16 years, back when the bronze cost $30 a year. Am I gonna have to pay $80 a year? And I said, nope, we'll keep you there. You've been loyal to us for that many years. And while I'd love to, of course, just move everybody up to that price, I'm not going to. I'm gonna grandfather you in. Now on the YouTube membership side, we don't have control over that. You'll have to get the new membership if you wanna get all the benefits. But if you're a MiniWarGaming Vault member on our website and are paying less than $8 a month or $80 a year, you will be grandfathered in. If you're currently paying more than that, because you're a silver Vault member, then we will automatically lower your price down to the new price at your next renewal. So you don't have to do anything. You'll automatically be brought either up or down to that membership level, but your price won't go up, but it might go down if you're paying more than that amount, if that makes sense. The other question was for lifetime Vault members. I had this question a lot, and a lot of people were assuming that we would no longer honor lifetime Vault memberships, which confused me because I'm like, no, the Vault's not going away. So of course, lifetime Vault memberships are going to be honored because for the most part, they were all lifetime silver Vault members. And this is somewhere between bronze and silver in terms of price. So if you are a lifetime Vault member, you get this for free, or not for free, for having paid for the lifetime Vault membership. We're not currently going to be offering any new lifetime Vault memberships. Maybe one day we will, but I need to make sure this is going to work in the long term before I say, hey, buy a lifetime Vault membership. And then a year later, we're like, yeah, this isn't working, but sorry, I can't refund you because, you know, we can't afford to. That just doesn't seem fair. So if we do offer lifetime Vault memberships in the future, it'll only be because we are very sure of ourselves that this is going to be around for a very long time. Because lifetime Vault membership is the life of either the Vault or the person who bought it. And so whichever comes first. So non-transferable to another person on the case of death, morbid thought, but I guess that will eventually happen to everybody. And if the MiniWarGaming Vault is ever shut down, then it would also be canceled. The other thing that could happen is if we introduce like a much higher tier Vault membership or a different Vault membership in addition to this one, then that lifetime probably wouldn't cover that. But it would have to be something completely different or a higher level. So for now, lifetime Vault members, you're good. You don't have to do anything. You'll be automatically brought into the new one. We probably won't even notice a difference other than all the new content that is coming out. I think that was it. Those are the big ones. And I'm sure there will be questions down below that I answered in this because this video is now almost 30 minutes long because I like to ramble and I am rather long-winded, as you probably already know. So if you do see somebody post a question below and I have answered it, do me a favor and just reply and say, yeah, he said that at this timestamp. Maybe I'll even actually go through and put the timestamps in for each of the questions as well, because that would be very helpful. So I think I've covered everything. So I hope that you'll join me on Tuesday for the live stream, 24-hour live stream, where we're all going to be involved in some capacity, doing different things. We're not all going to be there for 24 hours. We're taking shifts, but there will always be at least 2 people there, playing games, doing giveaways, and all sorts of other fun stuff. And if you want to show your support, if you want this to work, then there's one way to do that, and that is to become a Vault member or a YouTube member. Now, at the time of me posting this video, The Vault memberships aren't yet live, except for the old ones, so you could always sneak in and get an old bronze yearly and get locked into a lower price. Or if you're here on YouTube, you can click the join button and make sure you choose the Vault member level. So there's a bunch of levels there. Some of them are older levels. I just left there to be grandfathered in at with different benefits. But if you choose the Vault member or higher, you'll get everything that we've talked about. So I hope that you'll consider doing that, or jumping over to the Kickstarter and backing the Runes of Perdition, or buying something for the Steel Spectres, anything that can help to further the cause of MiniWargaming, because we're just a small company. We're only a handful of people, about a dozen people, just doing our best to have a lot of fun and to provide you with entertainment, as we have been doing for about 18 years now, which is crazy. It was crazy. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching through this, if you are still here, and happy wargaming.